Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 145 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co hosts.
My name is Craig, sandwiched in the middle of two handsome gentlemen.
My name is also Craig. I don't know how to follow that up at all.
I feel like if anything, I'm the one that's sandwiched because I have two Craigs and they're the two
Yeah.
pieces of bread.
It's
Yeah, that's
true.
And then
It's true.
and we don't have another fourth, so it's just a cheese sandwich. It's a pretty bland
Yeah.
one, but
It's the Oreo formula.
okay, we can be an Oreo instead. Everybody likes Oreos.
Yeah.
It's true. Those new Oreos, did you try those?
Which one?
Totally off
They're
topic. The
Oh,
cookies
what-
and cream Oreos.
I have not.
They're pretty good.
Haven't.
Pretty good.
You know what else is pretty good? The news for the week.
There's the segue. There it is. Love it.
I knew it was coming, and I still went, oof.
Fantastic.
First up on my list is going to be the DualSense Edge is out, and it's all right. It is a $200 controller in which you can buy only exclusively from Sony at the moment. And
Ugh.
reviews have kind of come out. It is nice what they do. They've got profiles. Like, it's got everything pretty much the series Elite Series controller has. But
Right.
apparently, like, mostly overall, like, the controller's just a little bit heavier. That's not like a heavier controller, which I usually prefer. That Elite controller is very good. Comes with a case, couple extra paddles as well. I feel like a very missed opportunity is definitely the Elite Series controller has a base in it that allows you to just put it there and let it charge when you're done. And for me,
Yes.
as someone who pretty much games, is done gaming and cleans up everything, so like my
Yep.
controller gets put back on its cradle and everything like that, I really like that feature, and I really wish Sony would have done something like that where the controller could just sit there, because the battery life is only 4 to 5 hours. And
Really?
yeah, the battery life is not
Insane.
very good. So
Insane.
if you're the type of person who likes to game for long periods of time, you may be looking at getting an extension cord to kind of reach to where you are, depending on how far you are away from your console, or you're looking at recharging it, switching to your regular controller. And to be fair, that's not usually what happens. To be honest, once you get a touch of like a really good Elite controller, like, you don't go
Yeah.
back. I don't go
Nope.
back to the
No.
other Xbox controllers. So
Nope.
I can't.
The on that note, like my daughter just started playing. You remember Disney Infinity
yeah.
with all the
Mm.
figures? Like, I have so many of those, and she randomly decided she wanted to play, and she asked me to play with her, and it was, not where my Elite controller is, so I was using the normal Xbox controller, and I was like, this feels gross. It just feels
Yeah,
like so
It
cheap.
does.
Yeah. So you just have to plug it in with a cord, the PlayStation one?
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
with a
it. I
cord,
thought
yeah.
it fit. I thought it fit on the classic PS5 specific.
Oh yeah, it does.
Charger.
It does
Okay.
fit there, but it's not something like with the Elite where you have that specific
Yeah.
cradle that you just put it back into in its case. Because for the most part, like, I put that Xbox controller back in its case and
Yep.
let it charge. That way, it doesn't get any dirt, grime, or dust on it. Like my controller, I
Yeah.
try to take care of them
Yep.
because they get used a lot. For the most part, it seems as though if you're a first-person shooter person on PlayStation, you should be getting this controller. But if you're just someone who's playing a lot of the story-based stuff, you're probably fine just using your DualSense, the regular.
Yeah, that's like outlandish to me that it can't even hold a hair to the Elite controller in terms of battery life. I
Yeah.
still have not had it. I've had an Elite controller for like, I think maybe 10 months now, and I still, even though I charge it in like a methodic sense,
hmm
I've played hours on Xbox and I have not even had a running low notification. Like, it's a tank. It's like 6 iPhones in battery life to me. So I can't even fathom what type of person is going to buy a serious controller like that who's not playing more than 4 to 5 hours, story, first person shooter, anything like that. How are we supposed to have Twitch streamers endorse it or or use it at least without even endorsing it on their Twitch stream? And and try to play to that level without having that type of that's insane to me. That's
Yeah, I always, just like you, Barry, like I always, when I'm done with my Xbox, I drop it in that case and I zip it up just so like it doesn't get like dust and stuff on it. But there's been like a couple days straight where like for whatever reason I forgot to charge it and I'll turn it on and it's still like at least half battery.
Yep.
Um, do we know what like the battery life is on a normal PlayStation 5 controller? Because I feel like when I
It
play, is it the same?
No, it's usually about 7 to 8 is what I
Okay.
find.
Because I feel
Eh,
like there's times where I'm playing, like when I was playing The Last of Us, the remaster, where I would play and I don't always plug those in because I don't have a dock for my PlayStation 5 controllers. But I'll play like a session of Last of Us, maybe like 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll start playing the following day and it'll be like low battery. And I'm like,
mm,
already? It seems weird at like the 4 to 5 hour mark. My PlayStation 5 controllers like needs to be charged.
maybe it just
yeah.
depends on how much like you're doing with the controller cuz like the one thing
Yeah.
about like these, and it was the same thing with the DualShocks as well. I don't care for the light thing on the back.
Mm-mm.
I'm not looking at that. So it's probably draining battery.
I also don't
Like
need the speaker.
the speaker was only cool like maybe 1 or 2 times for
Yeah.
me, and that was it. The speaker stuff is, it's all right if you didn't have like a headset or something like that. Like I remember I did use it a couple times when I didn't get my hands on like the Sony headset for the PS5, and you could just talk mute. Like it was kind of easy. Like I
Mhm.
will say
Mhm.
that it is easy in that particular sense.
It's the PS5 controller is the bane of my existence playing Call of Duty because you hear literally everybody's living room now because
Yeah.
nobody realizes that it's a microphone. So like how many times you go into a lobby and you just have to mute like 2 or 3 people because you just hear like screaming kids or like people
Yep.
talking in the background. I'm like, I really every time want to yell like your controller is a microphone. Please mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst idea ever. Like
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, and did you guys see the other day? And I'm not sure if you. It was just a clip on from Twitch from Tim the Tap Man, and
Hmm.
how he was playing Warzone. He was
Timothy.
actually able to turn off people's Xboxes by
Yeah.
saying Xbox turn
Oh,
off in the middle of Warzone. It's just like that. That's what you get for having sound come out through your speakers and
Yep.
that kind
yeah.
of thing. So it it stinks, but
He
yeah,
would do
DualSense
that.
Edge.
He
Yeah,
would.
He would do that.
DualSense Edge. All right, now on to some bad EA news with Apex Legends Mobile and Battlefield Mobile have now been discontinued, and the rumored Titanfall mixed
Yes.
Apex lore game has also been canceled. Terrible move on EA.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get that the mobile games don't do well like that. Like as much as we continue to lean away from mobile gaming, it seems as though it's not as popular anymore. But
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but like give us another Titanfall game. Like
Yes.
Seriously.
people adore Titanfall too. I just don't know why EA hasn't made another Titanfall or done something else with that Titanfall series. Like you are now more popular than ever with Apex Legends in lore with Titanfall. So it's like you have everything you need to have a multi-million-dollar game, and it just seems to get canceled everywhere or get stopped at whatever point. I don't know why they do this. Like
Yeah.
No.
And everybody's been yelling for them to do Titanfall for years.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And like I get that Apex is your moneymaker. I don't like I 100% yes, keep putting your time and effort into it. But like why not have another team off to the side working on a Titanfall game? I think they were trying to say that like it may have been like an Apex, more Apex than Titanfall type single
yeah,
player game, which is whatever.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, I mean, everybody's literally yelling at you to make Titanfall 3 for
Yeah.
years and years, and they just for whatever reason are like, nah, not gonna happen. It must have been terrible, whatever they were working on.
It had to have been. Titanfall 2 was a gem.
Yep.
It was a gem.
and
And
you know what?
it's really sad to see it.
It is still really good to play today.
Yep.
Like that is one of the few games I can jump into multiplayer wise and I can have a blast no matter what. And I
Yep.
think it's because one, the unique thing they did with multiplayer, and two, like there's no better feeling than getting into Titan and just destroying everything in your
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Next up for me is The Last of Us Part 1 for PC gets delayed till March 28th. Not a
Mhm.
huge delay. I imagine it's just to kind of fix things up or anything like that. It is a shame just considering that it could have been out by the beginning of March here, as The Last of Us is most likely ending for HBO. It's just kind of, I think, stunting their own sales in a way where, like, The Last of Us right now is more popular than probably it's ever been before.
Yeah.
And now you got to delay the PC port, but so be it. Lastly, on my end, is going to be Zelda Lego sets are now being rumored as the Great Deku Tree was leaked according to Promo Bricks.
Mhm.
Uh, we have seen this kind of outstanding relationship stuff with Nintendo
Yep.
and Lego kind of doing that kind of thing. I think it makes perfect sense. We had some Mario
Mhm.
ones that seem to do pretty well.
Yep.
Deku Tree probably works out pretty well for them as well, or whatever else they decide to build. So, uh, just have your wallets ready because this will sell out pretty quickly. It's Zelda.
Craig, have your wallet ready.
You know what's funny is like because they did that whole line of like the Mario courses, and then they did the giant Bowser like a couple months ago that was like $250. But if you go on like Lego has the Lego Ideas website where you can make your own set and submit it. And every single time they'll pick two that they're gonna make. You'll always see a Zelda set on there every single time, and every single time it doesn't win. And
Hmm.
that's led a lot of people to be like, well, obviously they're trying to figure something out with Nintendo to do an official one. But yeah, I mean the Deco Tree would be cool. I think like the
Yeah.
castle, Hyrule Castle could be cool.
Yeah, that would definitely
Yeah.
be a good one.
Yeah.
Lon Lon Ranch
Yeah.
would be a
There's
good
a
one. People would
lot of
love that.
options. Yep.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. You could even do like uh kind of like a big shield, right? If you really wanted to do, you could do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Hyrulean Shield.
Or a mask, whatever.
yeah, kind of like what they have with some of the other like series ones where you like have the Marvel Infinity Gauntlet. You could make
Yep.
a Majora's Mask or something like that with
That'd be
that one.
cool.
You
Yeah,
could
I
definitely
agree.
make a Majora's Mask. They should make one of the moon from Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
I think I would get that one
That
so fast.
nightmare-inducing moon? Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
That'd be great.
That's all I have for news, though. What do you guys have?
All right. So I had talked about this before, but I wanted to talk about the day before again.
Yes.
Because
I forgot about this.
oh dear God, is this getting crazy?
Oh boy.
So we had the issue with them not trademarking the name that I brought up last week. This
Mhm.
week, their much anticipated and promised video came out. And I don't know if you guys watched the video. It's like a 10-minute video.
I did, yeah.
I didn't, you know.
There's nothing going on in their world whatsoever. It's literally 10 minutes of like running around, looting, and then like there's some shooting at the very end. But it's the most empty world I've seen in a long time. And then on top of that, people notice that their trailers that they've released line up almost identically with there's a scene that's like identical from the Modern Warfare trailer. There's a image that's identical from the like those SnowRunner trucking games.
Okay.
And then there was another one that I'm trying to remember what it was. Let me see if I have it. But it was another one that's like straight ripped from another game as well. And it's leading people to believe that this might be a scam. In a way of like them just trying to make money. It was all right. So it was a promotional image that's dead identical to the Division, like identical. So I know people were excited for this game. I watched that whole 10-minute trailer and I was like, this looks awful. Like it's not even remotely close to being ready.
I had more fun reading the comments.
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
I imagine.
So bad. So I don't know. Like me personally, yeah, I think this is probably another issue of some sort of scam to get money on this game that they had no intention of ever actually releasing, because it sure looks like they don't have anything except an empty world they threw together real quick and had a character run around in.
From everything I've read, that is what I've seen as well. There is a better video from Moist Critical or Penguins Z0 on YouTube. that kind of
Love
goes
him.
over the whole drama that's kind of gone
Yeah.
on with this team. The Fantastic team has one other game out, but then as you continue to go along, you notice a couple things. One, there's a release date trailer with no release date.
Yeah.
There is and all of their footage for the game so far has been pre-rendered cutscenes, no actual gameplay. So this was actually kind of their first soiree
Yeah.
into
Actual gameplay.
gameplay, and it
Mm.
looked like crap.
Yep.
So you have a feeling that it was kind of thrown together at the very last second
Yep.
in order to appease people. But hopefully they can prove people wrong. I don't really know what to really think of this game right now, just because I'll admit I'm interested. A
Yeah.
Tarkov like game, and I mentioned it as
Yeah.
well with it. I like the fact that it looks to be more of the Division's Dark Zones area on crack.
Right.
So
Mm.
At least that's what they
I'm
say.
yeah. And if that's the case, I'm all for it. But
Right.
right now, the way the game looks right now, it is not. It does not look good, and it doesn't look like something that anybody wants to play. To be fair.
Please,
It'll
nobody pre-order this game, please. Like, don't give them
it'll
money.
be Skull and
Yeah.
Skull and Bones. It'll be
Yeah.
Skull and Bones is what it'll be. Just like 8 more delays.
Yeah, I don't think this game's ever coming out. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't see it. It's just like it looks like that video. I was like, this looks like a game that's like a year or two away from even being ready. And the fact that it was supposed to come out this month originally,
Yeah.
there's no way. Absolutely no way. All right. So second one I got here is I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch vouchers.
Yes.
So this got announced this week, basically $100, and you get to pick 2 games from this list of first party Nintendo games. Interesting enough, I was, when you get into like the fine print, some people are taking offense to the fact that if your subscription is not active and you buy these, you cannot redeem them. So it's kind of a gray area there. However, that being said, if you're interested in, if you're going to get Zelda, if it comes out this year, and any other game, it seems like a no-brainer to buy
Yeah,
it
it does.
because you're going to save $20. Me personally, I'm not buying Zelda, and when I looked at the rest of that list, I just kind of went meh, so I'll pass on it. And also, I don't have the $50 version of Switch Online. I just have the $20 one. So, are you guys going to voucher it up?
I read this the same article, and I was looking through the games, and besides obviously utilizing it for Zelda, I was like, maybe I'll pull a Barry move and like get Triangle Strategy or
Yep.
like there's a couple of RPGs that I like missed on Switch, and by missed I mean did not buy as a consumer.
Right.
So there was like a couple of things on there that I saw. I was thinking about doing maybe Bayonetta 3 and something else because I just missed Bayonetta 3. I just didn't buy it. There were too many games out at the time. I just skipped it. So for somebody like me, I'm probably gonna get it. There's at least 2 Switch games a year that I get that I could say that hands down, even with the Switch hardware at this point. So I know I'm getting it.
Okay. So that's 1 out of 3.
Yeah, it'll be 1 out of 3 because, like, for me, and I told you, Craig, this as well. I have all those games on there. Like, the only
too.
game I'm
Yeah.
missing is like probably I can't remember the one game I was missing. So be it, whatever. But it's just like I have pretty much any game that's on that list. So why bother doing it? Oh, you know what? It was the Kirby remaster that's
Okay.
coming out that I don't
Mm.
have, and it's like, well, I could use it for that. But then also
Yeah.
the part of me is like, well, I'm just gonna. It's not gonna save me anything. And as someone who still prefers like physical games for the most part,
Right.
I need to. I want these games physically. I have to say, my Switch collection is pretty outrageous.
Is it like my Xbox collection? It's just way too many.
Yeah, no, I've got way too many Switch games, and it's just like, well, I guess I do, but
Yeah.
it's.
Barry, you're talking me out. You're talking me out of it, man. I like having the physical Switch games too, and I think I read that article and didn't even remember that I cared about physical Switch games. I mean, I'm a physical game kind of guy anyway. Besides Xbox, I literally just ride Game Pass for that. But like I kind of want to take advantage of the voucher. but like I think he talked me out of it just because of the physical copy. Like,
Well, and well, one thing for you, Craig, to remember is like, let's say you're trying to get Project Triangle Strategy on there. Like some of these games, you can't find physical copies of anymore. Astral Chain
yes.
is on
Yeah.
there, and you can't
Oh,
get Astral Chain anywhere.
yeah.
Um, things like
Yep.
Octopath Traveler, the first one, like you can't find physical copies of that anywhere, or at least
Yeah.
new, I should
Yep.
say. So like you're not wrong in your thinking. I definitely think some of those games it's good to have it, but when I go into retail stores right now, there are not a lot of physical games. Like I should say third party Switch games like that are made by Square Enix. Like you see all of the Pokemon, the Zelda, Mario, Kirby, everything like that everywhere. But it's those third party exclusive games that are on Switch, like Octopath Traveler, but that one's an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like Triangle Strategy, like there are games on there like Diofield Chronicle as well that you don't find physical copies of those games anywhere because they don't exist.
Yeah. And also as a I don't know if this convinces you even better, but I'll throw this out there for everybody as a pro tip. If you are a member, for us, it would be Sam's Club, but other places, Costco, you can go into a Sam's Club and get $100 Nintendo gift card for like $90. So if you do
could also
that,
do that.
you're actually going to save $30. And, that's kind of like I'm sure Costco does the same thing, but like if you're really interested in it and don't mind not having physical, it's a good way to save yourself 30 instead of 20.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Yeah,
you probably still get maybe you get the Nintendo points from it still.
Yeah, I think you should. I would imagine.
I don't know why they wouldn't allow you to do that.
Right.
You're still
It's
spending
I'm
money.
only thinking because it's a promo kind of thing.
Maybe.
That
Yeah,
would be my
maybe.
thinking.
Yeah. And then the last thing I have, this has to do with Twitch, but I had to bring this up because this is hilarious to me. If you haven't heard about Infinite Nothing on Twitch, I highly recommend you check this out. If you are a fan of Seinfeld, which I am a huge fan of Seinfeld, I love Seinfeld. There is a person on Twitch. I don't know if it's a guy or girl or whatever, but they made an AI that writes its own TV scripts. So what they did is they fed this AI all of the Seinfeld episodes. So what they've been doing for the past, I think we're on day, I want to say like 5 or 6 at this point, has been a nonstop, completely generated AI Seinfeld episode. We're like 5 or 6 days deep now on Twitch that you can watch. So it's coming up with its own script and jokes on the fly. It's putting in a laugh track. And it's like it, as far as like visual, it's like it looks like a 90s like adventure game, like that type of graphics, but it's like Seinfeld's apartment and like the stand-up, the comedy club and all that stuff. And it has like the little transition music when it changes scenes. And sometimes it can get like super awkward. There was a point where like Jerry Seinfeld started to tell a joke and then stood there for like 10 minutes without saying anything. But for the most part, it's actually not that bad. It had me laughing a couple times just coming up with like these random AI generated jokes that are actually pretty funny. So like that has been my go-to this week while I was working, to have that on in the background, and it's been a great time. So for sure, everybody needs to, if you like that type of comedy, go check it out because it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I have to go check that out. Seinfeld was literally like I've been a fan for decades at this point. I grew up with that show.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Simpsons when when I was starting to get old enough for the majority of the jokes on Simpsons, and then you kind of graduate to like, on one side you got South Park and all those other more raunchy shows like the Family Guys, but on the other side there was also Seinfeld. So
Yeah,
that was a staple in my house, so I gotta check that out.
it's a good way to waste an hour or two just watching this never-ending show.
Yeah,
but that's all I got.
all right. I only have one more. I had the PC version of Last of Us as part of the news there. Just to kind of add to what you were saying there, Barry, they had like a really nice I forget who exactly did it, but there was a release statement basically thanking the fans new fans and old fans for The Last of Us success on HBO Max. So to kind of thank them, they were pushing it back in order to make it the best possible thing that it possibly can be on PC. I don't think it's a bad move necessarily. I think it's a good move for it to come out right at the end of the Last of Us show. But if they're going to treat it, kind of buffer it a little bit up, put some cleaner on it and make it good, or even a little bit better, smooth out the edges, and that sounds great to me. But the only other one that I had was Sony. There was a Bloomberg report that came out that basically said that Sony was dramatically cutting the production of the PS VR 2 due to the and you love this word when you hear in business, underwhelming pre-order numbers, which obviously Sony, being Sony, who is our favorite mature company to clap back, refuted the claims. But I thought it was funny kind of just like skimming through that particular news, because like they apparently it was like almost like it got cut down to like 500,000 units, as opposed to, I think they were looking at maybe 1.5, something along those lines. So it's just kind of funny to see. I guess I laughed because there's 2 PlayStation pre-orders in my life, PlayStation hardware or accessory pre-orders, that I've probably ignored, and it was their new controller, and it was the VR. It's just not like any other time. PS5 pre-order, I did that thing on my lunch break at work. I moved stuff around with my bosses, and I was like, I need to take my lunch break at this time. I'm in a queue and it's important, you know? But it's kind of funny to see that I'm not maybe necessarily the only person not even remotely considering pre-ordering the VR2. I don't know what you guys thought of that.
I can't say that I was surprised. I didn't think that this was going to sell an insane amount. I think it's going to have its dedicated fan base for sure. But I just look at it as just too much money.
Yeah, it's definitely a too much money thing. Definitely the Quest and the Quest 2 have kind of come out and really stolen the show for a lot of it. I just really wish things like, for me, I love Horizon, and I really wish Call of the Mountain VR would make its way over to Quest 2. And if I cross my fingers and maybe pray to God enough times, maybe I get that within the next 10 years. Probably not. But it's those kind of experiences that like Sony can provide because I have a connection with the series for the most part. And I'm going to wish that they had, wish that I had the VR2, but I can't justify spending that much money for one game.
Yeah. And they're going to hold on to that with the death grip, because that'll be like their selling point, is these first party, whatever they decide to do besides Horizon. But yeah, a couple hour experience on VR for Horizon is not going to make me spend that much money for another VR set when I already have one.
Yeah, I like what I saw, but I'm not spending that much money. No. Just like I'm not spending that much money on the controller now, especially after this battery life. Because before, I was like trying to rationalize. I was like, well, maybe I can wait and like just like, put money aside just to like make myself feel better that I'm not spending the $200 for it, because I'll like just like put something in my bank account, forget about it. And like now I don't even want to I don't want it until they fix
maybe a version 2.
Yeah. Hopefully a version 2 comes out.
Yep.
All right. So, and I actually forgot one thing on the news, and that's my bad, because this is a pretty big news story. Have you guys heard of the Atrioc and Twitch situation?
Oh my God, yes.
Forgot about this stuff. This is my bad. This is fairly big news in the world. TLDR for the most part. A very popular streamer named Atrioc got caught watching porn of deep fakes of his co-workers that are also streamers.
Yes.
Once that got caught, there was a lot of big stuff going on. I didn't know what I was watching, but I was on Twitch, and he was one of the top people, and I was like, oh, what is everybody watching of his? Just to see what it was. And it's just these 2 people crying and apologizing for things. I have no idea what was going on.
It was cringe, man. That apology video was pretty cringe.
Yeah.
But the updated news with that is that QT Cinderella, also a very popular Twitch streamer, has kind of come out and said that she was going to sue the host of this site that makes deep fakes with like these VR streamers' faces on it. And turns out, like, they got a hold of it. She got it. The site's been taken down, and commenter of the site said, hey, I realized what I did was wrong, blah blah blah, she's still looking to go in and do and host and file a formal lawsuit against the person who
Good.
did this site and trying to get it off of the air once and for all. But it just raises the question, like, with AI, you talk about Seinfeld and deep fake
Yep.
stuff that's becoming increasingly better. How do you stop it's not so much how do you stop, but how do you mitigate people from being sexualized that don't want to be sexualized?
Right.
And
Yeah.
like this is different part of gaming, but like before rules were created for it, revenge porn was a huge thing where
Yep.
you would be posting stuff of your exes and stuff like that onto the internet if you had said video for it. So now we're maybe starting to precedent the rules of like maybe there needs to be regulations on deep fakes and what you deep fake someone in, because like even on TikTok or Instagram Reels, people deep fake, and I guess deep fake because it's pretty amateurish, of like their face on Elon Musk and to get him to say something funny or stupid. But
Mhm.
it's totally different when it's a girl streamer or even a male
Mhm.
streamer for that example, and they get deep faked into being sexualized or put in a porn video that they're using their likeness to make money off of that, and
Yeah.
the streamer doesn't want to make money off of that because they don't want to be sexualized. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just like this never-ending rolling turd of bad stuff that continues to come out with this deep fake and Twitch streamers. But overall, like if you guys want like more information on it, please make sure to go watch YouTube videos on it. There are more than enough YouTube videos on it and
There
everything
is.
like that will do a better job. But I just can't stress enough, like people deserve the right to not have themselves like be sexualized on the internet without their permission. Like
Yep.
that's just it's wrong, it's rude, and it's objectifying of women to do so. So I can only hope that with QT Cinderella's lawsuit, the ball will start rolling and trying to get this stuff
Yeah.
off the internet, or at least making it much more difficult to find. Because it sounds like this Atrioc streamer found it pretty easily, from
Yeah.
what I can
It
tell.
was
So
a yeah, like that was a terrible story he told. Like I know I like but like it was behind a paywall, so he had to pay for it.
Mhm.
And like that completely destroys his whole like I accidentally found it somewhere, like I clicked on the wrong thing kind of
Right.
thing. But yeah, it goes back to what you were saying, Barry. Like we're all humans, and I think the problem that faces Twitch streamers, anybody who's on YouTube and has a decent or even a minuscule following, I, um, I think the problem is that we see people talking, we see people responding to things, whatever they respond to, whatever their video content is, and we as watchers, to some degree, either don't care about the individual themselves or think that that is just who they want to be all the time. Whether you're somebody like Dr. Disrespect and playing a character, whether you're another streamer like that, that like is actually just themselves the whole time, everybody is a person, and there's enough terrible things going on specifically directed at ladies at the female gender, and just seeing this again and at a grander scale. I'm with you, Barry. I hope the snowball, it starts out as that, turns into like a larger one, becomes an extreme avalanche to get this off and to get people back their internet freedom,
Yeah.
so to speak. Because a Twitch streamer, anybody can choose what they put on the internet in that sense, but not being able to choose your likeness being used without your consent, whether it's sexualized or not, it's still a breach of what I would consider your privacy, your humanity privacy, if I can combine those two words.
Yep.
So it's terrible. I hope she tears it all down. I hope more people come forward and tear it down. Atrioc apparently is going to start the ball on that.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm
he has
sorry
much of
for
a
la-
choice.
yeah, I'm sorry for laughing at that, but he was like, I'm gonna get things going, and like through the tears, and his wife's behind him, and
Yeah.
her face was blurred out. It was a very awkward video, by the way. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you're telling
sorry.
me. You were
No,
telling
you're
me,
good.
man. That was
Ugh.
Yeah. I think they need to get it going quick, or it's just gonna keep happening. I think on like a not just like what you said is pretty much what I was thinking there, but I also thought of like from the financial side, if they don't get something going here to prevent this from happening, what's going to stop somebody taking, somebody who's extremely popular on like an OnlyFans and be like, well, they're making a ton of money. I'm just going to make deep fakes of them and I'll make my own money off of them. Like I could see that happening too. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just something that needs to get taken care of like yesterday.
Yeah.
For a majority of reasons. But yeah, the whole situation was like, I couldn't even make it through that whole video. I was like, the whole
It
time
was
the
so
apology was,
cringy.
oh man.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's just a mess.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead into games then. A lot happier news.
Yes.
Yes.
Most part games played this week for me. I still have been pretty much playing the same thing. I watched more than I played this week, as much to be expected, but still playing Fire Emblem. It's still really good, and that's where
Still
I'm
good.
sticking with it. Still
Still good.
sticking with that.
I have some more thoughts on Dead Space. I played a lot more Dead Space. I played. This is kind of like a down week, so I was trying to like catch up on some things that I missed. I played Security Breach, the Five Nights at Freddy's. I played that. And
Oh,
then
okay.
I like to kind of comb through Game Pass on my slower weeks and find stuff that I missed. So I found Moon Scars as well.
Okay.
Sounds edgy as hell.
It does. I follow Barry's lead on this one, not directly, just without even knowing. But it's been more of a watch week for me. But I started Dead Space.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I played it together about 2 hours in.
Okay.
More just like, I did exactly what I told you, gentlemen. I was when we had the whole Forspoken
Nice.
unplanned segment. I returned it, and I came home that night and I bought Dead Space. So I got some thoughts on that. And then I really didn't play anything else. I just kind of was playing Persona 4 Golden. So you guys already know my thoughts on that. All of you watchers and listeners know my thoughts on that. So
Okay. A light week for sure.
like,
We're all
it's
mentally preparing for Hogwarts is what we're doing.
yeah, exactly.
Have our hearts broken.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
All right. Dead Space. Give me your thoughts, Craig. And I'll give you mine.
I like it. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's really, really good. Now, what I don't like is that I did play Callisto Protocol first. And I'll tell you why. I know the algorithm for the scares.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I'm walking through Dead Space, as opposed to if I had played it when I was younger or even played it just before Callisto Protocol, I would approach vents without being a little bit more, I don't know, tiptoey.
Yeah.
I would not have utilized music cues to decide whether or not I'm actually in danger or not. So that annoys me that I took away my own Dead Space experience by like 5%. It's still a great environment, but I took away my own Dead Space initial reaction experience by the pregame of Callisto Protocol and them using similar parts of that genre and that game flow. Now, as far as the game itself, I'm just a huge fan of the 10, 15-minute intros where it looks all fine and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Things get pretty hairy out the get-go. They introduce you to your first necromorph like almost immediately, and I'm a big fan of the limb shooting. That's something that Callisto Protocol didn't hammer down.
Right.
Like you could still kind of make your way by destroying the torso and figuring it out. They only had like 6 enemy types anyway in that game, but this game, it's like you better go for the limbs or you're an idiot. So I haven't really seen the entire collection of necromorphs yet because I haven't gotten that far in the game, but I love the atmosphere. I didn't see the babies yet. I have not seen the babies yet. I can't wait for what they. I can't wait for what they throw.
Baby.
The last time we talked about babies in a scary game.
Barry, did you not play Dead Space?
Not yet.
No, I mean before.
No, I played 2 and 3, but I never played the first.
Okay. Oh, you never played 1? Okay.
Okay.
I've never played 1.
There's
and
I mean, the babies were more prevalent in 2. You remember the babies from 2?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Look, still to
Um,
this day, nothing scares me more than when his in Dead Space 2 when his wife shows up in the elevator,
Yep.
and I'll tell you it's probably because I was young, but like I
Mhm.
saw that and I literally jumped out of my seat, turned off my Xbox, went to bed, and
Yep.
then went, okay, I'm picking this back up in the morning.
I've
yeah.
had enough.
I wanted to ask you a question, Craig, as the
Yeah.
Dead Space expert here. And I thought about this when I was starting the game with my wife because I primarily played, she watched, and we're gonna trade the controller.
Mhm.
And I was selecting the difficulty, and I remember what you said about having a better experience sometimes with certain games,
Yeah.
doing it on easy. I don't know if I could change the difficulty now because I did start it on normal, but like, is this a normal kind of game or is this a easy just for the experience? What do you think?
So, I've always whenever I play Dead Space, I've always done the same thing. My first playthrough will always be on easy.
Got it.
Just because you can kind of force your way through it pretty quick. You can get not all, but a decent amount of the upgrades from like the nodes on your first playthrough, and then I like to go back through again on normal or hard and finish upgrading everything. Because once
Got
you
it.
do that, like the normal and hard, like when you're not upgrading your guns and all that kind of stuff, it can be pretty difficult. And you're running out of ammo and all that kind of stuff. So I've always liked to just go through that game real quick on easy first, and then go back
Got it.
and get like the true experience the second time around when you're more like beefed up, when you got your
I
levels up
like it.
there. Yeah.
I
I
like
don't
it.
I don't think you can change it though once you start. I think
Perfect.
you'd have to start all the way over if you really wanted to do that.
I don't know. I might trudge through normal.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's not bad
But
on normal. Hard is rough for a first playthrough.
oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. But like, yeah, great first impressions. Exactly what I wanted. Atmosphere is incredible. I love their notes that they put in the game on the walls in blood. You
Yep.
know, so like shoot the limbs, like all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
I love it, and I can't wait to see what more set pieces they have. I can't wait for like more zero gravity,
Mhm.
like all that type of stuff. That like I thought about that. That's an entirely different concept that when Dead Space came out, I think was fantastic to add.
Yep.
Now we have games like Deliver Us Mars, Deliver Us the Moon and stuff like that where you can actually experience that. But like I thought that was really cool that was also part of the gameplay and not just one, I hear it's not just once. It's
No,
like multiple
it's
times.
fairly yeah, they do it a bunch of times. And they've
Yeah.
changed it. They've made it a lot easier. I noticed. That was the one thing I had written down was like it's so much better than it used to be. The zero graph used to be so frustrating trying to orient yourself in the right direction. It's so much better now. And then like the other things that I noticed that they added, besides him talking, is the clearance level stuff was never there before. And I think that's such a
Mm,
good addition. Like there's doors that you come across and even like lockers and crates that'll be like you need security clearance level 2, and that was never there before. And I've
okay.
been playing through and I'm like, what is this? And then I don't know what this like clearance level is, and it's like, oh, as you progress through the story you'll get higher clearance levels, so technically you would have to go back to those areas if you wanted to collect all that stuff. Or you could get it on like a subsequent playthrough, I guess. But I think that's a good idea to kind of make you go back and re-explore areas that you already left. Because originally you would just go through, complete like your area, and then never go back there again. Even though you could on like the tram system, you could travel back. There really wasn't that much of a reason to, unless you were just trying to find some hidden stuff. But I thought that was a nice little addition to put in there to keep it fresh for like people like me who have beaten the game like a million times at this point. Um, it was nice to see that. I'm like, okay, I can get down with that. And it just looks disgustingly pretty. That's a
Yeah.
good way to
Yeah,
put it. Like, just
it does.
everything looks so gross and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good. And the lighting is just phenomenal.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah. Also, I don't trust corpses because of this game, by the way, and Callisto Protocol. I don't trust corpses.
the
I've
rule
been
is the rule is either shoot them or stomp on them. Every single one you go by. I step on everything I go by because you get more items that way. But just if I see an enemy on the ground and I don't remember shooting it and killing it, I always shoot it before I get close, because if you shoot it once, it'll get up and start
Yeah,
coming after you. So, yeah.
great
What
game.
else? All right. So, Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know. Like, I was never a big Five Nights at Freddy's fans. I don't know if you guys played. Like, I've played
No.
them, but like, I
Yeah,
never really.
the man who hates horror games is a master at Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
the intentional jump scares, like
Yeah.
built in.
I would. I mean, I've had my eye on this one for a while because it seems like it's a little bit different, and it plays more like Alien Isolation. Is
Yeah.
probably the best way to describe it, which is a nice take, I think, to kind of do something different besides the you're in the office, check the camera, shut the doors, that kind of stuff. And I've been having, a decent amount of fun with it. It's obviously not like this isn't a AAA title, right? This was made on the cheap. But kind of going around and like the different like boss battles, if you will, I think have been interesting. Like the first major one you have is in like you go to like the children's daycare, and it's in like a big like ball pit and like, that kind of stuff. And you have to run around and turn all the generators on while there's a guy in the dark chasing you. Like that kind of stuff is cool. Like it's something different. And I think it's a very well done game. I don't think this was like a $60 game when it came out anyway. It's probably like 30 or 40. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it for this week. I mean, I'm going to put it down on Tuesday for Hogwarts anyway, but it was a nice filler.
Yes.
And then Moon Scars, which is on Game Pass. I guess it's my weekly Game Pass recommendation. 2D side scroller / Metroidvania / Souls like, I guess. Has an interesting art style. I have no idea what the story is because there's so much talking and I have no idea what they're talking about. It's so random and I can't follow what they're trying to tell me, but like I've been dabbling more into like the 2D Metroidvania style games because I've always kind of pushed them off. And this one feels pretty good. It's tough. It has the whole like it's not a bonfire, but you can rest at it and then all the enemies will come back, which is like a staple now for like every game ever, I think. But as a nice like side game, I think this is one that I'm gonna continue to like kind of peck at until I beat it in between other games. And another solid Game Pass game, I think.
Nice.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So then that's going to be it for the games we played this week. Be ready for next week, as Hogwarts Legacy is going to be all we talk about, pretty much.
Yay.
So we get to movies and TV show. So
yes,
for me, Last of Us Episode 3, which I know will be a big talking point this week.
Yep.
I finished Wednesday.
Okay.
Shotgun Wedding.
Okay.
Vex
Oh,
Machina up to the newest one, and Wakanda Forever.
Oh, you watch Wakanda.
Oh.
Okay. So this week for me was all horror all the time. I mean, technically Last of Us counts, even though it was not a horror episode. Maybe horror of your emotions. So I watched on Shudder, I watched Skinamarink, and I also watched
Marinky Doo?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then I also watched Through My Mother's Eyes.
Okay.
Yep.
So also Last of Us. I don't know if we have to keep announcing it. We're just going to be watching that. We're going to have that ready every week. So, Last of Us for me, I watched Jeepers Creepers Rebirth.
Oh God, the new one.
It'll be a 30-second review. It sucked. There it is.
So bad.
It sucked. I don't have to talk about it. It's not a good. It's not a good movie. I also watched You People.
Okay.
New romantic comedy on Netflix. And I started with my wife Poker Face. And also we started and caught up to Servant season 4, the final season on Apple TV. So
that's the Shyamalan one, right?
That is.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
okay.
It is.
Okay.
I forgot that he did that. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, a lot to talk about this week. All right, so I'll go with Wednesday because I guess that's probably the oldest of all of them. I really wasn't to expect to like Wednesday as much as I did. I didn't really grow up with the Addams Family, so I really didn't know how much I'd like this. But to my surprise, this show rocks. I loved every part of it. I think Jenny or Jenna Ortega, like she did an awesome job as Wednesday. I love really all the
Mhm.
characters that she interacts with, and like overall, just a really like good episode of Who Done It, because they do a really good job of making me think who is the person, and then it's like, oh wait, it's not this person, it's this person, and the final like 3 episodes are really like this roller coaster of like, okay, here comes all of the plot points all at once. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that last rush of final 3 episodes. But overall, like I can say, it's a good series. I can see why a lot of people recommended it.
Yeah, love that show.
Love it.
Do I just go into my other ones? I guess we will, and
Yeah,
then
go
just we'll
for it.
just share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
guess
Go
we'll
jump
share The
in.
Last of Us afterward. Shotgun
Jump in.
Wedding,
Mhm.
starring romantic comedy starring Jennifer Lopez and Josh Duhamel. Um, First off, J Lo, wow, still really hot. Bonk me, I don't care. I'm
She
constantly
doesn't
surprised.
age. She
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
doesn't
I'm
age.
constantly surprised. Um, Overall, I actually really enjoyed this romantic comedy. It's about these two that are about to get married, and it just kind of comes with all the regular romantic comedy stuff. Something kind of hilarious happens during their wedding ceremony, and there's all this tension because the ex gets invited to this wedding, and who's played by Lenny Kravitz, which is also really weird. Um, Overall, I just enjoyed this romantic comedy. I found myself laughing at a couple of these moments, and I feel like both Jennifer Lopez and Josh Duhamel like got a chance to shine in their own respective ways. So I definitely recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Wakanda Forever,
Mhm.
now streaming on Disney Plus. I overall liked Wakanda Forever. There was just a couple things that I did want to point out. One, I really do like what they did with Shuri, and at the end where she, you're kind of wondering who she's going to see in the astral plane. You're waiting for like, okay, here comes CGI Chadwick Boseman. No,
Yep.
that's not the case. Um, and spoiler alert, it's Killmonger. So
Yep.
I loved that reveal, and I like that her costume actually really resembles a lot of what Killmonger is with the gold accents and everything like that. I thought Namor and like the Techniclon is like awesome. I loved every single part of Namor or Namor
Mhm.
in Spanish language. It's just awesome to see like ancient Mexican culture represented. I really enjoy it, and he is a really cool bad guy slash not bad guy in a way. I hope to see more of him in other stuff, but we probably won't. That's just how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
Vex Machina, which is now up to season episode 7 of its next series. If you guys don't know, this is a animated telling of Critical Role's first campaign. If you like D&D, Critical Role is like a D&D campaign with a bunch of pretty famous voice actors for it. Overall, I think it's really good. If you like D&D, I think you guys would like it. And overall, it's just a really good action fantasy setting for the most part, and with it too, I feel like if you're a D&D watcher, you're going to get a ton of ideas for your own campaign watching this series. So overall, like, I'm still really impressed, and there's still more episodes to go, but I'm finally caught up with it.
Okay. Is that
All
all
right.
of them? Oh.
Other than The Last of Us, but I was going to
Okay.
wait for all
Yeah.
of us
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
join
Yeah.
it together.
Okay. All right. So, Skinamarink. This is an
Skinamarink.
interesting one. This is one that like I had kept my eye on because it's like polarizing. It's every review I read was either like this is such a good movie or this is the biggest waste of my time. There's like no middle ground on this movie. I after watching it, I will say that this was a waste of my time. But I can see where people like it. It's such an interesting way to do a horror movie. It's basically like it's preying on the idea of you when you were a kid being afraid of the dark, basically. It has to do with, two kids waking up in the middle of the night and their dad's gone. Their parents are gone and there's no doors or windows in the house anymore. They're just stuck. My issue with the movie and why I didn't like it is it's the most interesting way to shoot a movie by never actually showing the actors in the movie ever. The entire movie is like still shots. So it'll be like, here's the hallway, here's a TV, here's the stairs, here's the hallway again. All right, now we're going to go back to the TV with cartoons on. Oh, here's the hallway, and you'll see the kids' feet run by, but you're never going to see their face. There's very little dialogue. It's just kind of like and it's got like a super grainy filter on it. It's supposed to be like the 90s. So it's like you can't really see too well. So you do a lot of like the squinting while you're watching, right? And then they use that with like the 3 or 4 jump scares because you're like, what is going on? I can't see anything. And then that's when they, you know what I mean? But overall, like it's an interesting way to do a movie. It just didn't hit for me. I was like, this was the most boring hour and 45 minutes of my life, watching a hallway and a carpet and a wall, you know what I mean? But I was just like, the whole time I'm like, well, I can't turn it off because I have to see what happens. You can't not finish it. And you're just like, oh, maybe there's gonna be something that'll be like, you know, the big payoff. And for me, like the payoff, I know where everybody says the payoff is, it's near the end, but for me, I was just like, nah, that ain't enough for me to sit through an hour and 45 minutes of still shots. It'd be interesting, like Craig, if you were to watch it and see what you guys think. But like mentally prepare yourself that you may end up 2 hours later being like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So just as long as you're mentally prepared for that, I don't know, maybe you'll like it. I don't know.
That's the risk you have with scary stuff.
I have to know if other people watch it that I know if they are like it, so I can be like, why do you like this movie? I need to know what was different for you. And then Through My Mother's Eyes, I think this movie's like a year or two old. It's on HBO. Completely black and white, and it really has to do with like a girl who grew up in a really messed up home. Her mother gets murdered right in front of her, and it kind of turns into this like she's the most just like awful, sadistic, twisted person as she grows up. And I don't want to give away too much because I thought it was a really interesting movie, but it's like it can be a little uncomfortable to watch. It's one of those type of horror movies where you're like, oh, okay, we're going there. Okay, all right. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. It's short. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. So I would definitely recommend that one over Skinamarink, unless you just really want to, if you're that curious of whether or not you'll like it. I don't know, Barry, give it a shot. See what you think.
Oh yeah. Ask me to watch it.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe you'd like it. Maybe like that different perspective. You'd be like, you know what? I didn't mind it.
No, you mentioned it. It sounds stupid. So it's like, I know.
It does. It does.
Like, I keep waiting.
Just see if you can find like a trailer. I don't know. I never looked at a trailer, but like maybe that would give you an idea of like what it looks like. But man, it's just an hour and 40 minutes of still shots with like 3 jump scares.
It sounds really weird in the technique that they use to shoot it. But like the movie I keep hearing about, which I'm surprised none of you guys have watched yet, is Infinity Pool.
I'm waiting.
Oh,
I'm gonna watch
can't wait.
Yep.
Oh,
okay, can't wait for you guys to talk about that because the stuff that I hear goes on in that movie is like what
messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair to Skinamarink, this is like a first-time director, and he's done a bunch of YouTube shorts that you can go watch, and he does the same thing, but it's like 8-minute videos, and it
instead
works
of like an hour.
It works when it's short. But when you're trying to do a whole movie, I just don't think it works. It's just too weird.
Yeah.
And he made it for $15,000. It was super cheap. There we go.
I guess if you get enough people to watch it, you can at least double your price.
He has made a ton of money off of it. That's for sure.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I got, besides the Last of Us episode, I got 4. I'm going to go through Servant really quickly, specifically because the idea of the show is something that I would recommend. It stars Lauren Ambrose, and I liked it for Toby Kebbell. Am I saying his name right? Toby Kebbell?
I think.
Kebbell. And then Rupert Grint, who just is amazing in everything, and he's not just Ronald Weasley, you know. Shout out to Harry Potter coming out this week. But it's essentially with Lauren and Toby's characters being they live in an upscale portion of New York. there was something that happened to their child long ago that gets fleshed out as the seasons go on. So as a replacement therapeutic, they have a doll, like a lifelike doll, as a representation, so that Lauren can continue to just do her thing and like get over all of that traumatic past. So they hire a nanny, and in the first season and such, it's like a nice psychological horror aspect because the nanny's really weird. And now that I'm in season 4 and certain things have happened, I can honestly say that the show is definitely worth the watch. It's weird seeing somebody have to deal with that type of trauma, but also like the fact that she's mothering a doll that it does not cry or anything like that. And then when they bring a third party into the mix, it just gets better and better. And Leanne as the nanny, it gets weirder and weirder. So it kind of transcends itself. So watch Servant if you have Apple TV, Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I wanted to jump into really quickly would be Jeepers Creepers again. It sucks. Don't watch it. So that leaves me more time for just the two that I want to just circle before we get into The Last of Us. First one is Poker Face. It's a new series. It's out. It stars Natasha Lyonne, who is from Orange is the New Black.
And Russian Doll.
And
Mhm.
Russian Doll.
Yep.
First of all, clap to her just as
She's
a
great.
general, just in acting. Just a
Yep.
nice clap to her. So she essentially stars. She works in Vegas as a server. She's got a friend who also works at the same Vegas casino that's owned by some shady individuals. One of them being Adrian Brody, which was a nice feel there, seeing him there. Essentially, she gets involved in a murder that's at the hotel, and she gets pursued by certain parties regarding it, to not give the first episode away, which is the only one I've seen. The first episode is fantastic. There's about 4 or 5 out. The reason why I'm championing this particular series is the fact that it's going to be a week by week who's done it type of show, because the one caveat to her is, and it's shown in there, is before she actually worked as a waitress in the casino, she was traveling around, and she has a specific like X-Men power, so to speak. It's not really. She can tell when people are lying. She can't tell necessarily when people are telling the truth in that aspect. She can really only tell when dramatic, blatant lies are told. So she was traveling around basically playing poker and winning outwardly. She wouldn't go on high-end tables. She wouldn't go on low-end tables. She would kind of sit in the middle so nobody would find her out. And she went to a casino and she tried it. And the casino owner said, you know what? I'm not going to cut your fingers off for trying to do this. I'm going to give you a job. So that's how she ends up at the casino. So the reason why she left is what you have to watch the episode for, but she's going to be traveling around with this intuitive nature of hers and doing whodunit type of style, Matlock-esque
Okay.
things. So you got the overlying, this is why I like it. It's like X-Files. You got the overlying arc, which is, oh my God, there's aliens. But you got a creature of the week. This is a whodunit of the week. So I'm down to watch a Clue type of scenario on a weekly basis while there's an overarching story, and just to watch her in general. And they already threw Adrian Brody at me, and I
there's
can't
a
wait
lot
who
of
else they throw.
cameos, isn't there? Supposed to be in that show?
Yes.
Supposed to be supposed to be a pretty long list. And
Okay.
they already had another girl who was in Orange is the New Black there. I forget her name in Orange is the New Black and the real life actress, but go watch the show. It's great.
Sure.
And it's on Hulu. The other one,
it's on Hulu?
or
Peacock.
it's on
Paramount. Peacock, right?
Peacock.
Peacock.
I got this wrong earlier today. Sorry, it's on Peacock. I led you astray. So the other one that I want to touch on is You People. You People is a romantic comedy. It stars Jonah Hill and Lauren London as a couple of unlikely people. Lauren London being a African-American female, Jonah Hill being a Jewish male. Through the unlikely circumstances, they meet when he mistakes her as an Uber driver, which is funny. And it's a meet the parents scenario, guys. So parents on Jonah Hill's side are David Duchovny, speaking of X-Files, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, speaking of Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Parents on
And Wakanda.
And
Wakanda. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Parents on Lauren London's side is Eddie Murphy and Nia Long. pivotal people in the African American community, acting community, and just African American community in general. So it's classic Meet the Parents scenarios, like two different races, the two younger people love each other and want to get married, but on the one side, Eddie Murphy is like fresh out of, I'm pretty sure he's for lack of a better term, he's just a hard ass. And then Nia Long is the same as well. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays more of an aloof, doesn't understand African American culture, Black culture, and just tries really hard to make it work. Can I touch your hair? That kind of stuff, the things that Black people hate. So it's a nice contrast. And then Jonah Hill is just Jonah Hill, who's like, why is everybody so weird? I'm Jonah Hill. It's his comedy that you love from Superbad and all that. If you could get over his hair, I'll let you gentlemen look him up.
It's bad.
I don't mind it. My wife's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it. Its soundtrack is amazing. It's got a nice hip hop soundtrack because Jonah Hill's character in the show plays a podcaster who talks about the culture.
Okay.
So it's a good laugh. It's a great laugh, actually. I highly recommend it. And there were some people in there that I hadn't seen act in a long time or be in things that I've seen. So highly recommend it.
I've had my eye on it. I actually just watched Superbad this week again for the first time in 10 years. But I've had my eye on you people. I was just waiting for somebody to watch it that I knew to see if it was good or not. Because I was like, I can't tell if it's going to be like super funny Jonah Hill or if it's going to be like, this is so stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad you like it. I'll have to watch it this week.
It's definitely a good
one. That's will I for sure. All right. Last of Us episode 3. Full spoilers ahead, just so we're aware. Time to get into the meat and potatoes of all this. Before we get too far, first off, wow. Second off, do you guys get the feeling, and this might be just me, this series has the potential to be Game of Thrones type popular for them?
So.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already surpassed it in a lot of ways. This is such a different thing from Last of Us, it's such a different thing from the Game of Thrones series that we're used to, political, medieval warfare type options, and this is just so out of left field that it is. First off, all anybody could talk about for a good 5 days was the episode 3 performance from Bill Offerman.
Nick Offerman.
Nick, sorry. I just couldn't.
His name is Bill.
His name.
You're good.
Yeah.
And then the dang it, who is the guy who plays Phil? Give me a second. I'm looking it up. It's Murray It's Murray Bartlett.
Mm-hmm.
Who plays Frank.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, all we can really say is wow before we get really into specifics. But I'll come out and say it, I got emotional watching this, and I didn't I don't know how HBO did it, getting me that emotional in an hour.
Yeah.
It's usually
such a well-contained story.
Yeah,
it was. They took their time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
It was great.
I want them to release the 2-hour cut. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
Yep.
I have to see more of it. But if you guys I'll let you guys go first to get into specifics of maybe what you guys liked. But in general, this is a Oscar, Golden Globe worthy performance for these two. And I hope to God that they give them what they deserve with this episode. It is the thing is it's early in the year, so it's very easy to forget about it.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting is when I was watching that episode, and as it goes on, I was kind of sitting there watching, and I was like, this is an interesting choice and an interesting take to go with Bill. Because I'm like, okay, this is not what I expected for them to do. But then after the episode was over, and the first thing I did is I went back and watched the cutscenes with Bill from the Last of Us game, and I was like, you know what? Like it all connects and it makes sense. Like it's kind of like, I wouldn't say hinted, but like the framework was there in the game for this to make sense. And my first initial thought, I was like, oh wow, they're like completely changing his character a little bit, right? But then when you go back, you're like, no, they really weren't. This is just like the backstory from him that we never got, kind of like the backstory we get with Ellie in the DLC from The Last of Us,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like the same thing, and it's so beautifully done. Um, and like, I didn't mind that we're taking like a break from the Last of Us story to really dive into these characters. There was like, and I wish I remember who it was, but there was somebody, I saw a video, I think it was like a TikTok video of like, this is you watching the show, and it's like, you know, it's like, oh Bill, don't go up to that hole, you know it's going to be a zombie, oh don't get close to it, and then at the end of the video you're just sitting there sobbing into your tissue. um it's just so beautifully done. Surprised to see Nick Offerman pull that off so
Yeah.
well, so believable. You know, I'm so used to him from Parks and Recreation and that
Same.
character,
Yep.
and I was like, you know, when you
Oh,
see
did
it,
you
you're
call
like,
him
oh,
Bill too, or did you mean Nick? Sorry, I
Nick
don't know if you
Offerman.
just got. Yeah,
Nick,
okay, sorry.
Nick.
I thought you called him Bill
yeah,
as well.
no, Nick, like that character from like when the episode first started, I was like, he's playing the same character. That's just Nick Offerman, right? Like that.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh wait, he's not. Like he's
Yeah.
really not. Yeah, just so well done. Absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
I'm in the same boat as you, Craig. I
Yep.
expected, and like the beginning of the episode was like the snide comments he was making when it became his town after they evacuated everybody. I was like, oh, we're just getting him,
Yeah.
and I'm fine with that. Like I was very excited for him in that role. But what transpired was just beautiful storytelling. They took their time developing their relationship through um, posture. They did a lot
Mhm.
of posture work, you know, because like I think Nick kind of really delivered that. Like I'm unsure about this guy.
Yeah.
You know, when they
You
were
can see how
doing the
tense he
awkward.
is in his shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, like
Yeah.
his shoulders are constantly like up here, like
Yeah.
waiting for something terrible to happen.
Yeah.
yeah, they really nailed that role. And like for me, I forgot in the game, like I forgot what the game's result of Frank was because it's been a while since I played. So like the fact that they deviated, you know, and Frank doesn't actually hate Bill, which is what,
Yeah.
like there was like lore in the game where you found like a note, or
Yeah.
I don't know if it was lore, it might have been a cutscene.
There's
It
a
was
cutscene when he finds him
yeah,
hanging, and he's mad
yeah,
at him because he hung himself because he got bit. So they
because
did
he got
change it.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was perfect. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
it's not like Naughty Dog's not like doesn't have representation here, or like
Yeah.
the person who originally did it. So, but it was just beautiful storytelling, and by the end of it, you're like, like you said, Craig, it's a perfect break. What
Yep.
they did, I think it was a nice move because if you're gonna entice a new group of people with a different take on zombies that the three of us are aware of the Last of Us take on zombies. So you got
Yep.
him in that role. Or sorry, you got him in that mode with the first two episodes. You kind of threw at us this nice developed character in his daughter that we got close to, and then Outbreak.
Mhm.
So you already hit us in the feels there if you didn't know the plot. And then you give us a nice episode 2 where you kind of lay some story down, you get people going, then you hit us in the feels again with Tess.
Yeah.
And now you spend an entire episode. And how are you not dedicated to this show after seeing that? It's like there's going to be certain episodes that I think are going to be like completely and utterly dedicated to action, and maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of Joel and Ellie like in their relationship building. But what they've done with this series is they've really taken and going to what you said, Barry. Like there was a reason why we liked Game of Thrones. You had specific people that you rooted for. There was enough characters that you had somebody you liked, but like it was relationships. It was developing and certain conniving aspects. Not that this is going to have a lot of backstabbing, figuratively, like Game of Thrones is, but where it's gonna be in popularity is the fact that like I don't know how you don't care about these characters already. It's just and And yeah, there's going to be clickers and there's going to be bloater moments and all these other type of moments going on where you're going to be fearing for their lives while they're sneaking around. But how that it's I I don't know if you had a series that touched you already in episode 3 the way The Last of Us had, and like bravo, because
Yeah.
they took an idea, they took a well fleshed out story, one of the best video game stories in the last decade and a half, and they're really nailing it on film, on TV, like they're really nailing it, and I don't know, like I can keep going. It's just going to be more celebrating. Like I can't wait for these episodes coming out. I don't know, Barry, what do you think?
Well, yeah, like overall, like I kind of said it earlier, like I was pretty speechless at the end of the episode just with how good it was. Like I I have been playing part 1 now as the series goes on because it's raised my interest. I look forward to seeing the stuff with Bill and Frank in part 1 just to familiarize myself cuz as you two know, like I haven't played the original Last of Us since the PS3 version. So it has been a
Yeah.
while for me, and I definitely don't remember a lot of the story takes about it. So it was, I want to see like what it's like because even in the inside the episode portion, like Neil Druckmann, the director of both the TV show and the game, kind of went into that. Like they allude to Bill having a partner in Frank in the game,
Yep.
and
Yep.
for me, maybe I was too young. I didn't get it or understand it, but I didn't know that that was the case. I think I like don't even remember Frank, to be honest. I remember Bill, but I don't remember Frank really. So it's
Yeah.
like
You never really see Frank
yeah. So it's
until they
just like
find him
that.
hanging. Yeah.
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 It's just like that kind of thing where it's like I want to see my new like profound respect for probably what that scene is now. Now thinking
Yeah.
about okay, what if I like add this episode of the TV show to where the game is, and while the ending is different, it's still I wonder if it's still going to maybe hit emotionally, thinking about what they had gone through beforehand.
Mm-hmm. You know what I thought
Yeah.
of too at the end of this episode is this show is nothing but emotion, and boy, without spoiling anything, are they setting people up for raw emotion for season 2? Because
Yep.
dear Lord, are people going to be bawling their eyes out when that season hits?
I
Oh my
I per
god.
I
Oh my
personally
god.
like with how, and I can't wait to get like my parents' reaction to
Oof.
the ending of the season 1 here. Like
Yeah.
I want to know like cuz I know for a fact my mom and dad are going to ask me like is this how the game ends? Like is this really the stuff we let you play in
Yeah.
in the end? I'm going to be like, "Yeah,
Yes.
that's what you guys let me play." And
Yep.
Yep.
I can't wait to see the reactions from people who have no idea to how
Yep.
this game ends cuz like part 1 in the first Last of Us game, the way it ends is it is a dead wall.
Mm.
Like you get to
It
it, you
is.
get to the point, and it stops. And I
Mhm.
Mhm.
hope that the series does it as well. And I think the way they're going to. It's just a
Right.
matter
Yep.
of at this point, we know we're getting a season 2 already, and it's going to be focused on part 2. And
Yeah. And that's going to be
y-
rough.
yeah, at that point, at that point for me, it's like I can't wait to just see what season 2 is going to come out with, because season
Yeah. Oh my god.
I
Do
it's
they
just like
do like do they do that big, I don't want to give anything away even though the game's been out forever, but like do they do that big moment with Joel at the beginning of the second game in the
They
first
had
episode of season 2 and just throw it at people right away?
I think so, but
yeah.
I think what you're
Oof.
going to
Yeah.
lose. I think we're going to lose a little bit of the luster from that because I think at
Mhm.
the end of this, people are going to go, okay, like what is season 2 about? And you can kind
Yeah.
of figure out what that is via the internet now, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
But
that's
there are certain gameplay portions of 2 that I don't know how you really translate to.
Mhm.
Like into like TV show type thing, like with Ellie in that hospital scene.
Yeah.
Like you guys know what I'm talking about
yeah.
at the very end of the hospital. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
nothing like that in part 1. So how do you translate that over? And that's what I'm interested to see because it comes up with more it brings more challenges to what this crew has to pull off. And so far, like this crew has pulled off it wonderfully, and I hope it just continues to reach the heights that I hope it can.
Yeah, and it's you know what's funny too? I think when I play next, Barry, if I do a run like you're doing, Bill's Town, that part is going to mean something different to me. That's what a show should do. When I play Bill's Town again, Bill's Town to me, if you were to ask like Craig, what do you remember about Bill's Town? I'm going to say traps.
Yep.
Not setting them off.
Mm-hmm.
Bill's a badass.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to remember the upside down. Isn't that the one where you're hanging and you have to, and she has to like move the refrigerator to like let you down,
and you're like shooting upside down? Yeah.
So that's Bill's Town to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anymore, and like that's why I want to kind of verbally continue to support this show as much as we will. Is for me as a gamer who has played The Last of Us Part 1 through, experienced it in that full sense in that first game as a memorable game of mine, one of my favorite that I've ever played. Now Bill's Town is different because I watched the series. And that's what a series of a video game should do. Resident Evil did not do that at all.
Nope.
You know, if we're thinking about like successful video game franchises, I'll tell you, Doom didn't do that for me.
Silent Hill might be the only one that did.
Yeah. Like that's just, I don't know, like kudos to them. Kudos to them, you know. So wait till we get to Pittsburgh. That's not let's not even talk about the hospital. Wait till we get to Pittsburgh. I'm gonna throw keyword brothers.
Yep.
Wait till we get there, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Probably happening tonight.
Yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoy the podcast. Please make sure you review it on your podcast listening platform of choice, and that you share it with your friends if you feel so inclined. We also have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, if you're interested in following us on any of those social sites. And we have an email at highsensitivitypodcast@gmail.com if you're interested in sending us, send us your review. Maybe we just read it on air now. Maybe that's something we can do. We can also, hypotheticals and whatnot if you guys are interested. Mm-hmm. So yeah, leave a review, screenshot it, send us an email, and we'll read it out on air. You can get your 5 seconds of internet fame for what it's worth. So hopefully that's the least we can do for you guys. I am planning a giveaway soon. I'm kind of waiting. Just as a hint, I've got 12 months of Xbox Live that I'm not using. So I'm thinking about giving that away, but I also want to give something to the people who don't have like an Xbox because this feels pretty targeted. So give me a little bit, and I'll try to get a $60 thing for PlayStation, or I'll let the other person choose if they want 60 in PlayStation or 60 in Steam. But be on the lookout for that. Maybe I might force you guys to backtrack on some episodes and listen to specific stuff we said in order to enter the giveaway. If I'm really feeling devious, we'll see. But overall, again, we really do thank all the support you guys give us for listening, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
See you later.
Bye, guys.